G'day folks, Scott here. Welcome to another video and welcome back to my retrospective review series of the Alien franchise. Today, unfortunately, we are on to the Alien vs Predator series. These films do not deserve a video each, so I'm going to condense them both into one video. Yeah, this is going to be hard. I've really not got anything good to say about these. Now, the reason being is I've established pretty well over these last videos how much of a fan of the franchise I am, how much I adore Alien. I adore Predator just as much for different reasons, and I might do some Predator videos later on, but the whole point of this series is that we're focusing on Alien, so let's stick with that. Now, Alien vs Predator, for those of you who don't know, has been around a lot longer than these shithouse movies. This graphic novel came out a long time ago. This is a fantastic book. If you've never read this thing and can track it down, and I'm sure in this era of digital comic books you can, check it out. The problem is, Alien vs Predator, which came out in 2004, for some unknown reason was given to Paul W. Anderson, the director. Now, for me, this franchise was the holy grail of unmade science fiction. After reading that comic book, graphic novel, I was so into that story that I just was so wanting to see that on film. I heard they were going to make it. I got really excited. Then I heard who was going to make it, and I quickly lost all enthusiasm for it. Now, for those of you who don't know who Paul W. Anderson is, bad things first for me. He made the Resident Evil series the right way through, all of them. They're terrible. He made a film with Kurt Russell called The Soldier. He's made all kinds of shit. I can't even remember off the top of my head. I will give this guy credit. He made Event Horizon. Event Horizon is a fantastic movie. It's part Aliens, it's part Hellraiser. It's really made. It's got a pretty solid cast, but that film is made by Sam Neill's performance as the main guy in that. He's amazing in it. It's a really cool, dark, pretty twisted horror movie. And I guess because I expected nothing from this guy as a director, I was really pleasantly surprised by that film. I'd recommend that over either of these two heaps of shit any day of the week, but let's go on. So, the first Alien vs Predator came out in 2004. It had Lance Henriksen in there, which made no sense to me, but my biggest problem with this film, I ranted and raved about the transition from Aliens to Alien 3 and the continuity issues. This has just as big an issue in my thing. This movie is set in 2004. Yet the Alien films are set in like 2140 something, many, like hundreds of years later, okay? Now the problem is, if you go back and watch Aliens, in the boardroom sequence I spoke about in my review for that, where the board of executives from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation are drilling Ripley for the fact that the whole crew died. She blew up a really expensive mining vehicle with a whole bunch of ore and minerals and stuff on board, cost them millions and millions of dollars, and she blamed it on this creature that they said, this unknown, unrecognized species of creature that's never in, hundreds of worlds been colonized over hundreds of years of space exploration, has never once been documented by anybody. Yet, in 2004, apparently, the guy who started the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, being Mr. Weyland, played by Lance Henriksen, knew all about aliens. It just baffles me, how people who are supposed to be writing these things can't think about what they're writing. On top of that, they've now established Lance Henriksen as Mr. Weyland, the guy who started that corporation, right? So we got him in 2004. And then in Alien 3, 100 or so years later, when Ripley's just about to kill herself at the end of the movie and throw herself in, they send a friendly face to see her. So in Aliens, we've got Lance Henriksen as Bishop, the iconic role. And then in Alien 3, this other guy from the corporation shows up, who's human, who says that he's there to show her a friendly face as an act of faith, to go, hey, we mean no harm with this creature, we want to destroy it, we want to save you, and so on and so forth. Now, it's clearly established, both in the theatrical, more so in the special edition, that this guy's human, because 86, who is one of the, the custodians on the prison planet, smashes this guy in the back of the head with a big metal pike and opens up this huge cut in the back of his head where his ear peels right open. Now, you sort of see the ear at a very weird angle in the theatrical cut of the film, but you see it much more gorily in the special edition, and it's full of red blood and gore. This guy was human. So we've got Lance Henriksen now in 2004 as himself, as Mr. Wayland. Then we've got him as an android made in the likeness of another guy who shows up in the movie after that. Seems like a bit too much Lance Henriksen for me, too much of the same look. I get that they put Henriksen in this movie because, you know, you want to know an actor and someone who's known to the franchise and everything, but it makes no sense. What shits me even more is Paul Anderson has decided to write his own script instead of basing it on that graphic novel I just showed you. And he's come up with this stupid, like, Aztec-type pyramid that the Predators had apparently built as a test underneath the ice in Antarctica. And, you know, it's like a moving trap, which is clearly ripped off from the brilliant indie sci-fi film called Cube. So he writes his own stuff in, but he steals all this really good stuff from the graphic novel about the girl who befriends the Predator, about the fact that she proves herself to him, she saves him, he saves her. They don't exactly become friends, but at the end of the movie, he gives her the same, like, ritualistic, like, acid burn to show that she's part of the tribe. She's, you know, an honorary predator, I guess, so to speak. And Anderson has ripped off all these ideas and written into his own stupid story, which, you know, shits me even more because it reduces the chance that this thing could ever be made as it should be made. The effects, again, were Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff. They did pretty well. There were some okay fight scenes in there between the Predator and the Alien, you know. I like the Alien that had the Predator net across the top of its head and had the scarring there throughout the rest of it. I liked all the aliens, like, bit each other and themselves to, like, leak acid onto the chains that were holding the Queen Alien in for her to escape. But overall, it's not great, you know, it's really not great. It had shitty characters. I don't really remember any characters in it other than the girl and you know, Lance Henriksen's Wayland character. Everyone else is completely forgettable. Again, there was an even shorter timeline from Facehugger to Chestburster than I think there's been in any of the previous movies. It's a turd through and through. But in the grand scheme of things, compared to 2007's Alien vs. Predator Requiem, it's really good, because Requiem is miraculously even worse. It's set on Earth. Again, you know, the first 4 Alien movies had this worst case scenario precedent that if the aliens ever ended up on Earth, it would be like a end game. It would be the worst thing that could happen, and Ripley literally gave her life trying to prevent this from happening, but it doesn't matter, because hundreds of years earlier, some dickheads let him out of some weird Aztec temple underneath the snow, and then in this movie they're running around forests and shit as well in, like, back-assed America. At the end of the original Alien vs. Predator movie, a Predator had actually had a facehugger get on there, which again was ripped off from the comic books, and it burst out of him in the closing scene of that movie, and that thing is known as the Pred Alien. There is a pretty cool life-size bust from Sideshow Collectibles that they did of the Pred Alien, which is a relatively good design, but that was like the main bad guy for this movie. But this is like a teen high school movie. There's like a pizza boy and a bully and some chick who lives down the street and his brother who just got out of jail and all these horseshit characters. And dude, it's so forgettable. I really don't remember much of this film at all. And I only just watched it again recently in the preparation for doing these, and my brain has already erased it. I was pretty disappointed by the effects work done by Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. again, because they were brought in on this. I don't know whether they were just consultants or whether they had hands on, but these are the worst aliens on film since the original one. Not to insult the original one, but you know, they've done all this work establishing really good dripping saliva and really articulate lips and the tongue and everything. These literally have like 2 motion aliens with a jaw that goes and a CG tongue that comes out, not even a practical one, and they're stupidly looking, and the CG isn't great. Predator had some cool stuff, like I liked it had that blue stuff that was kind of like a medicine that they'd used in previous movies, where it was using it to actually erase evidence of the aliens or people who'd been killed and stuff and melting them down to nothing. That was kind of a cool touch, but these 2 movies suck, guys. Like, I really don't see the point of going on about them. Maybe if you grew up in that time and they were your first exposure to Alien and Predator, you might have a different opinion of these things than I do, but as someone who's been loving this stuff since I was a kid, I was truly insulted by these. I paid money to go and see Alien vs. Predator at the cinema when it came out in 2004. I did not give a cent to the second one. Fuck that movie. No, not going to do it. So, that's all I've got to say about them. I'll be back pretty soon to review Prometheus, which will get us up to date with the Alien film franchises. So I shall see you again. As always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon.